Hello, folks. We're going to get into setting up effects sends. Let's do it. You might recognize this. We've already done things like this, where we've grouped our drums and sent them down to a submaster. That's fine. What I'm going to focus in on today is taking some extra stereo aux channels. We're going to create some stereo aux channels, just like we did here with these submaster levels, where we said we're going to create food groups. One food group for the drums. We're going to make a stereo aux channel. That's going to be our submaster. We're going to make a drum submaster. Yes, we're going to make a bass submaster. We're going to make drum submaster was way over here. And a bass submaster and a keys and a guitar. Yeah, we get all that. But what is this thing about creating the effects sends? That's going to be way over here, and we're going to create it with something called a send function inside ProTools. Come with me. So here's the session that is been uploaded to Classroom for you. This is the Mr. Jones song. I've already organized this into from my kicks all the way down to my tambourine. I've made a drum submaster. I've put the audience into their own submaster. You may or may not have done that. Here's my basses. Guitars are all green. My keys are orange. All the vocals I've put into pink. I've made a submaster for each of those. I've put a master bus right in there, and then a print. I've engaged the input monitor. Right there. Let me zoom in there. There we go. We've engaged the print input so that we can hear it all, and everything is playing just fine. I will make sure that all of these submasters are solo saved, but I want to remind us that all of these, right now, if we look at this, my submaster is going straight out to my speakers. That's incorrect. These all have to go to the master bus. So let me click on that. I'm going to command click on each of these. If I shift click, I select everything in between. So I'm going to command click on all of my submasters. I'm going to hold down shift and option at the same time. And whatever I do to one of these things, as I hold shift and option, ProTools will do to all of them. So I'm going to just hold this down. I'm going to say the output should go down to my master bus. And now all of them have outputted to the master bus. We have audio now headed out to the master. The master is headed out to the print, or all of these will head to the master. The master will pump it out to the print. We're good. So let's now make these effect sends. I'm going to put them right here in between my vocal submaster and the master bus. So I'm just going to select that thing, hit Shift Command N, and I'm going to make myself, I'm going to say 3 stereo aux inputs. And I'm going to make the first one a reverb tank. I know what I've called these things already in my session, so I don't want to confuse this. I'm going to call this one verb because it's going to reverberate. I'm going to call this the verb. I'm going to hit Command right arrow to name the next one delays. And the next one is just going to be my FX bus. And you can see those names right down there. I'm going to color these things special because they're my effects. I'm going to keep them bright blue. And at the very top of this, let's go straight to the reverb first. And I'm just going to pull in a reverb effect. So simply right there. I have a lot of them. You have some as well. So let's go to FabFilter Pro R. I'll just pick something from the default setting, something like from the small selection or medium. Let's go medium. I'm going to pick the small church. There it is. It has an EQ section. It has a whole bunch of stuff figured out. It has a pre-delay of 2.2 milliseconds. Sure, good enough. And important to note, this thing is set on 100% mix. So it is 100% wet. On my delays, I'm going to just go to the plugins. The first one is fine, first slot. And I'm just going to pick a delay. I've got a whole bunch of different ones here. One that you might have is the Mod Delay 3. And in the Mod Delay 3, we will simply, maybe I'll pick a quarter note. You can adjust this timeline there, or that little control. And if we sync this left and right, it'll look, these two will go together. Or if we link that there, they go together. Sync means we're going to sync it to our tempo in the song. But everything is fine. We're going to keep it like that for now. I want to make sure that these two things, the input, I'm going to say is 13 and 14 for the verb, and I'm going to rename that thing. Whoops, I just disabled it. Yikes! Right click. So I'm going to call that 13 and 14. And I'm going to call it verb. This one I'm going to pick 15 and 16. I'm going to rename it delays. But the output of both of these is going to go into 17 and 18. So the input of 17 and 18. Good day.
The other good-looking bald Brian.
That's right. We've got multiple bald Brians around here. And this is going to be the FX bus. So let's make sure that we've got this thing set up. And let me just zoom in so we can take a look at that. That both of these are going to output to the FX bus, and the input of the FX bus is set on the top layer right there. Great news. So I'm going to now that we've got that all set up, we've got the plugins present on the top. We can see it there. Now we decide, what do we want to have the effect of reverb or delay? And I'm just going to pick the lead vocal, for example. If I take the lead vocal right here, I will no longer be putting the effect on the insert level, but rather on the send level. Let's go ahead and plug this in right there as the send. And I'm going to say, let's output him to, find it, to the verb. Look at this. We'll zoom right in there. We've said the output of the send is going to the verb. And as soon as you do that, this fancy new window pops up and says, how much of this guy do you want to send to the verb? Well, let's listen to it first. I'm going to listen to the verb.
Tales. We stare at the beautiful Emma.
And now I
She's
add.
looking at you. Oh, no. She's looking at me.
Well, what the heck? We don't hear him. Why don't we hear him? Well, because when I hit solo, everything else in this session is automatically muted. Look at that. We've muted the solo, or muted the reverb. How do we get rid of that effect? We have to solo safe. So I'm going to command click each of these so that when we solo an item, those effects are no longer muted. Let's check it out again.
And in this bright lights, come through the stereo.
There's the reverb.
Oh, and everybody loves you.
And what's the rule? The rule for adding effects like this is lift it up until you can hear it, then back it off about another half a decibel or so. So let's do it.
You should never be lonely. I want to paint myself a picture.
There, I can hear
I
it.
want to paint myself
I'm going to pull
in
him back a
blue
little
and
bit.
red and black.
And that's about good enough. And now we've added reverb to this lead vocal. We might want vocal on this guy as well. We might want to pan these. We might want to do things like this. We might want to send this guy to a delay. I will send him to a delay by saying, let's output this guy to the delays as well. How much do we want going to the delays? Let's try it.
And all of the beautiful colors are very, 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 very meaningful.
Oh my goodness, very, 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 very.
That's my favorite color. I so confused every day. If I knew.
All right, so we've got a little bit of delays now happening there as well. And this is for you, season to taste. Thanks, guys.